The fluorescent lights hum overhead, that particular frequency that exists only in government buildings, in waiting rooms where men learn their bodies have betrayed them. Captain William Maddox sits in a plastic chair that's bolted to the floor. 62 years old but looks 50, lean, hard, the kind of body that's been maintained like military equipment. Regular, disciplined, no excuses. His right hand rests on his knee. It trembles. He stares at it, wills it to stop. It doesn't stop. Across from him, a young mother bounces a toddler on her lap. The child points at Bill's hand, says something in that garbled toddler language. The mother gently turns the child's face away, whispers something, probably an apology. Bill wants to tell her it's okay, that children should ask questions, that curiosity is good, but the words stick in his throat like always. So he nods. She nods back. They understand each other in that silent way that strangers in hospital waiting rooms always do. The tremor continues, has been continuing for 8 months now, maybe longer. He'd noticed it first at the shooting range, his groupings getting wider, thought it was age, thought it was the cheap ammunition he'd been buying, thought it was anything except what it actually was. A nurse appears in the doorway, older woman, maybe his age, gray hair pulled back, efficient and tight. She's seen everything, you can tell by the eyes. She calls his name, William Maddox, not Captain, not Sir. The name his mother gave him 62 years ago in a hospital not unlike this one. He stands, follows her down a corridor that smells like disinfectant and something else. Something underneath. Fear, maybe, or resignation. Hard to tell the difference in places like this. The examination room is small, beige walls, posters about diabetes and heart disease, a blood pressure cuff hanging on the wall like a noose. He sits on the paper-covered table. It crinkles under his weight. Everything in his life has been solid. Steel, armor plate. Now he sits on paper that crinkles. The doctor enters. Young man, maybe 40, probably good at his job, probably went to a good school, probably has never been shot at. He introduces himself. Dr. Patel, shakes Bill's hand, notices the tremor immediately, doesn't mention it, not yet. They go through the rituals, the questions. How long has this been happening? Any family history, any exposure to toxins, chemical contamination during service. Bill almost laughs at that one. He explains. Enlisted in 1979, too late for Vietnam, too early for Gulf War, but trained during those in-between years. Trained at bases where they didn't know, or didn't care, or both, where chemicals seeped into groundwater, into soil, into young bodies that thought they were invincible. Dr. Patel nods, takes notes, asks Bill to hold his arms straight out, hands flat, fingers spread. Bill complies, has been following orders his whole life. This is another order. The fingers shake, both hands, but the right worse than the left. Little tremors that ripple through flesh and bone, earthquakes on a personal scale. Dr. Patel makes more notes, does more tests, reflexes, balance, memory, all the things that make a person a person. All the things that can be taken away. Finally, the doctor sits, folds his hands. Does that thing doctors do where they prepare you for bad news without saying it's bad news? He says Parkinson's disease, early stage, likely related to service, likely related to contaminated training facilities at Fort Hood in the early 80s. Chemicals nobody warned them about. Likely related to protection that wasn't protective enough. He mentions there are treatments, medications, physical therapy, that Bill will need support, will need help. He asks if Bill has family. Bill says yes. He says yes because it's easier than explaining, easier than admitting he has an ex-wife who hasn't spoken to him in 24 years, easier than confessing he has a son who blocked his number 4 years ago, easier than revealing he has a garage full of equipment and memories and not a single person who would notice if he disappeared tomorrow. So he says, yes, I'm all set. And Dr. Patel believes him because doctors want to believe their patients have someone. Because the alternative is too sad even for people who see sadness every day. Bill drives home in his truck, Ford F-150, 20 years old. Runs perfect because he maintains it. Oil changes every 3,000 miles. Tires rotated, fluids checked, everything by the book. His hand shakes on the steering wheel. He thinks about his father, Master Sergeant Robert Maddox, Korea, tank commander. Died at 54. Heart attack in the garage. Bill had been 16, had found him there among the tools and oil stains, had called 911, had done everything right, and his father had died anyway. He wonders if this is slower, if Parkinson's gives you time to say goodbye, then realizes he has nobody to say goodbye to. He pulls into his driveway, small house in a subdivision outside Austin. One story, beige like everything else in his life. Bought it after the divorce, bought it because it was cheap and close to Fort Hood, and he never planned to spend time here anyway. The garage door opens. Inside is his real home. Workbench, tool chest, motorcycle he's been restoring for 5 years. And boxes. So many boxes, labeled in his precise handwriting. Gulf War, Iraq, training, personal. He sits in his truck for a long time, engine off, hand shaking, staring at those boxes. Something shifts inside him. Some tectonic plate of emotion that's been locked down for decades. He spent his whole life protecting himself, protecting others, wearing armor, building walls, and now something he can't see, can't fight, can't shoot, is stripping all that away. He gets out of the truck, goes into the garage, opens the box labeled personal. Inside is his life, photographs, letters, awards, things he never looks at because looking backward is for people who've stopped moving forward. He pulls out a frame, his tank crew. Gulf War, 1991. 4 men standing in front of an M1A1 Abrams. Bayonet 3 painted on the barrel. Staff Sergeant Leonard Graves, gunner, 35 years old, black man from Tennessee, married, 3 kids, smile that could light up a bunker, laugh that made even officers laugh, steady hands, steadier heart. Specialist Ricky Suarez, loader, 22 years old, Hispanic kid from Los Angeles, artist, kept a sketchbook, drew everything, the tank, the desert, the other soldiers, had dreams of art school, had dreams, period. Private First Class Tommy Hendricks, driver, 20 years old, farm boy from Iowa, blonde hair, blue eyes, could fix anything, talked about going home, about taking over his father's farm, about marrying his high school sweetheart, about everything that comes after war. And Captain William Maddox, 31 years old, tank commander, newly promoted, first combat command, looking at the camera like he knows what he's doing, like he has all the answers. He didn't have any answers. He still doesn't. Bill sets the photo down, digs deeper in the box, finds what he's looking for. His old CVC coveralls, combat vehicle crewman, Nomex, fire resistant, sand colored from desert dust that never fully washes out, name tape over the right breast, Maddox, captain, unit patch on the shoulder. He holds it up, hands shaking. The material is stiff, worn in places. There's a burn mark on the right shoulder, small, maybe 3 inches across. Most people wouldn't notice it. He notices it every time. He sets the coveralls aside, keeps digging, finds the helmet, CVC helmet, Kevlar shell, soft liner inside, boom microphone, earpieces, communication system that let you talk to your crew, let you hear them, let you know they were alive. More items, the balaclava, the gloves, the boots, each piece of memory, each piece of story, each piece of protection that both saved him and isolated him. He looks at his phone, considers calling someone, anyone. But who? The numbers in his contacts are mostly professional. Other officers, unit admins, the guy who changes his oil. He scrolls to a name, David Maddox, his son, last call 4 years ago, day after Christmas 2018, fight about something stupid, something that mattered and didn't matter, something that ended with David saying, "Don't call me again," and Bill replying, "Fine." And it had been fine. For 4 years it had been fine, because fine is what you tell yourself when you can't admit it's not fine. His finger hovers over the call button. He doesn't press it. Instead, he does something he hasn't done in 30 years. Something he's never done, actually. He sets up a camera. He's seen YouTube videos, knows how it works. Talking head, good lighting, clear audio, simple enough. He has a decent camera, gift from someone. Can't remember who, never used it. He mounts it on a tripod, takes him 10 minutes. Hands shaking, screws not cooperating. But he's patient. Patience is something the armor teaches you. Patience in how to keep moving when everything hurts. He frames the shot, his workbench behind him, equipment laid out, American flag on the wall. Looks like every other veteran YouTube channel, which is fine. He's not trying to be different. He's trying to be honest. He sits on a stool, faces the camera, red light comes on, recording. For a long moment, he simply sits there, staring at the lens, wondering what the hell he's doing, wondering who will watch this, wondering if it matters. His hand shakes in his lap. He starts talking. My name is Captain William Maddox. I was a tank commander for 37 years, and I need to tell you what I learned before I can't anymore. His voice sounds strange, recorded, like it belongs to someone else, but he keeps going. This isn't about tank equipment. The Army has those manuals. You can find them online. You can find everything online now. He pauses, looks at his hands. The tremor is worse when he's nervous. He's very nervous. This is about my son, David. We haven't spoken in 4 years. He blocked my number. I don't blame him. I wasn't much of a father. I was too busy being a tank commander. He looks back at the camera. 8 months ago, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, early stage. The doctor tells me I have time, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 if I'm lucky. But the shaking will get worse. The balance will go. Eventually, I won't be able to do this. Won't be able to sit here and talk to a camera. Won't be able to hold a wrench. Won't be able to hold anything. So I'm making this video for David, for other tankers, for anyone who spent their life in armor and never learned how to take it off. He reaches beside him, picks up the coveralls, holds them to the camera. This is Nomex, fire-resistant material. We wear it inside tanks. It's designed to give you maybe 3 extra seconds if the vehicle catches fire. 3 seconds to get out. 3 seconds to survive. I wore this in Desert Storm. February 1991. I was 31 years old. Captain. First Combat Command, 4 men in my crew. All of them trusted me to keep them alive. He sets the coveralls down. I kept them alive. But I also learned something. I learned that 3 seconds isn't enough. That fire doesn't care about your training, doesn't care about your rank, doesn't care about anything except burning. And I learned to protect myself, to wear armor, not simply Nomex, not merely Kevlar, but emotional armor, the kind that keeps you safe from feelings, from connections, from anything that might hurt. He looks directly at the camera, at whoever might be watching, at his son maybe. I wore that armor my whole life, literal armor, emotional armor, and I'm realizing it protected me from everything except being alone. So I'm recording this, all of it. Everything I learned about tank equipment, about survival, about what it costs to stay safe. He takes a breath, because I think maybe if I can explain the literal armor, how it works, why we wear it, how it saves us, then maybe I can explain the other kind, the invisible kind, the kind that keeps you alive, but also keeps you from living. The camera keeps recording, the red light steady, a digital eye that doesn't judge, doesn't interrupt, simply watches. Bill reaches for another item, the balaclava, black Nomex, hood that covers everything except the eyes. We call this the bank robber mask, anti-flash hood. It protects your face if there's fire, if ammunition cooks off, if fuel ignites. Your face is delicate, full of blood vessels, burns easy, scars permanent. So we cover it. He pulls the balaclava over his head, his voice muffled now. You can't see my face now, can't see my expression, can't tell if I'm scared or angry or sad. You see the eyes, and eyes can lie. He pulls it off, sets it down. I learned to wear this at Fort Knox, 1979. I was 19 years old, fresh out of basic. Everything still ahead of me. Everything still possible. The camera keeps recording. Bill keeps talking. My instructor was Drill Sergeant Harden, Vietnam veteran, Purple Heart. His hands were scarred, burned scars. He'd been in a tank fire near Hugh City in 1968, M48 Patton. Hit by RPG, 3 of his crew died. He survived because he was wearing Nomex. He showed us his scars, made us look, made us understand, told us these scars are what happens when you get lucky. I looked at those scars, looked at the other Vietnam veterans around the base, the ones who'd come back, the ones who had that look in their eyes, that 1,000-yard stare we all pretend not to notice. And I made a decision. Bill's hands are steady now. Strange. Talking helps. Remembering helps. Or maybe the medication is working. Hard to tell. I decided right then that I would protect myself, that I would wear the armor. All of it, every piece, every layer, physical armor, emotional armor, whatever it took to avoid those scars, those eyes, that look. I was 19, I thought I was being smart. He stands, walks to the workbench, picks up the CVC helmet. This is a CVC helmet, combat vehicle crewman. It's got communications built in. See the boom mic, the earpieces. There's a cable that plugs into the tank's intercom system. When you wear this, you can talk to your crew. 4 men, or 3, depending on the tank. 4 voices in your head. Constant, direction, updates, jokes, fear, everything compressed into electrical signals transmitted through wire. But you can't hear anything else. The outside world is gone, muffled, distant. You're in a bubble, only you and your crew and the mission. He turns the helmet over, shows the interior. This is the VIC-1 system. Voice-integrated communications. Old school. What we had in the 80s. In Desert Storm, it works. Not great, but it works. Later, they developed VIC-3. Better. External microphones, noise canceling. You could push a button and hear the outside world. Someone yelling at you from the ground. You could connect, could communicate beyond your bubble. But in my day, we had VIC-1. And that was fine, because I didn't want to hear the outside world. I wanted to stay in my bubble, where everything was clear, where everyone had a role, where communication was simple. He sets the helmet down, sits back on the stool. In 1992, I got married. Sarah. Beautiful woman, smart, patient. She'd waited for me during Desert Storm. Waited while I was in the desert. Waited while I learned to kill people from 2,000 meters away. We got married at Fort Stewart, Georgia. Small ceremony. My crew was there. Some of her family. I wore my dress blues. She wore white. Everything traditional. Everything proper. We bought a house off base. Started a life. She wanted kids. I wanted to focus on my career. We compromised. We had a son, David, born in 1981. I missed the birth. Field exercise. Couldn't get leave. She understood, or claimed she understood. Hard to tell the difference sometimes. Bill's voice changes, gets quieter. The microphone barely picks it up. I remember coming home from that exercise. David was 3 days old. Sarah was exhausted. Her mother was there helping. Everyone looked at me like I should say something, should feel something. I looked at my son, tiny, red, screaming, and I felt nothing. Not nothing, but nothing I could name. Nothing I could access. Like there was a wall between what I was supposed to feel and what I actually felt. So I told her he's perfect, because that's what fathers say. And I held him because that's what fathers do. And I felt the armor settle tighter around my chest. He looks at the camera. I loved my son. I want to be clear about that. I loved him. But love behind armor doesn't look like love. It looks like absence. It looks like distance. It looks like a man who's there but not there. Sarah tried. God, she tried. She'd ask me about my day, about what I was feeling, about what I was thinking. And I'd tell her about training, about equipment, about tank maintenance, about everything except what she was actually asking. And slowly, year by year, she stopped asking. In '98, we divorced. David was 17, old enough to remember, old enough to know something was wrong, not old enough to understand. The lawyers divided everything. The house, the savings, custody. David would live with Sarah. I'd get him every other weekend, holidays alternating, everything scheduled, everything organized, everything controlled. I thought that was good, thought structure was good for kids, thought if I simply showed up on schedule, said the right things, bought the right gifts, that would be enough. Bill stops talking, sits there, the camera recording, the red light unwavering. It wasn't enough. He stands again, walks to the box, pulls out a photograph. This is from David's 18th birthday, year 1999. He'd asked me to come to his party, not my weekend, but he'd asked. So I went. The photo shows a backyard, balloons, cake, kids running around, and Bill in his uniform. ACU pattern, standing apart, not sitting, not playing, standing. I came straight from base, didn't change. Told myself I didn't have time. Truth is, I felt safer in uniform. Felt like I had a role, felt like I knew what I was supposed to do. David asked me to play. Some game the kids were playing, tag maybe, or hide and seek. I don't remember. I told him maybe later. Mentioned I had to get back to base. Promise next time. There wasn't a next time, not really. There were other birthdays, other events, but I was always in uniform, always ready to leave, always behind armor. He sets the photo down. In 2003, I deployed to Iraq. Operation Iraqi Freedom. I was 43 years old, lieutenant colonel by then, battalion executive officer, not a tank commander anymore, but still in armor, still in the fight. David was 22. Sarah asked me to talk to him, to explain, to help him understand. I tried, sat him down, told him I had to serve, had to protect people, had to do my duty. He asked why. Why did I have to go? Why couldn't someone else go? I didn't have an answer, not one that made sense to a 22-year-old. So I replied because it's my job, because people count on me, because. He cried when I left, hugged me, told me be safe. I promised I will. Mentioned I'd call when I could, assured him I'd be back before he knew it. I was gone 14 months. Bill's hands are shaking again. He looks at them, addresses them like they're separate from him. Stop for a minute. Let me finish this. They don't stop, but he continues anyway. I called twice, maybe 3 times. Satellite phone, terrible connection. Voices cutting in and out. I'd ask how school was. He'd answer fine. I'd respond good. Long silences, neither of us knowing what to say. The distance measured in more than miles. When I came back, he was different. 23 years old, taller, more mature, looking at me like I was a stranger, which I was. Sarah had started dating someone. Teacher, nice guy probably, patient with David, showed up to his events, helped with things, did all the things I didn't do. I could have been angry, could have fought, could have claimed my rights as a father. But anger would have required feeling something. And feeling something would have required taking off the armor. So I simply nodded, agreed that's good, acknowledged David needs stability, offered all the right words that meant I was giving up. He walks back to the workbench, picks up a small envelope, old, yellowed, addressed in shaky handwriting. I found this 3 weeks ago. I was going through my father's things. Master Sergeant Robert Maddox, Korea, tank commander. He died in 1976. Heart attack. I was 16. After he died, my mother packed up his stuff. Military gear, personal effects, put it all in boxes, stored them in the attic. I've moved those boxes to every house I've lived in. Never opened them, never looked. 3 weeks ago, I looked. He opens the envelope, pulls out a letter, paper thin, fragile, like it might disintegrate if handled wrong. This is addressed to me. To William when you're older, my father's handwriting. Dated 1975, year before he died. I was 15. He wrote this and I never knew. Bill unfolds the letter, hands shaking, voice shaking. Son, I know I'm not good at talking. Tanks taught me to keep quiet. Stay inside, focus on the mission. I'm writing this because I'm scared I'll die without telling you. I love you, I'm proud of you. But don't be like me. Don't hide in armor your whole life. I did. And I missed so much of you growing up. Missed your first words, first steps, first everything. I was there, but I wasn't there. Not really. I was always inside the tank, even at home, even with you, especially with you, because you were the one thing I couldn't protect with armor, couldn't keep safe with steel, couldn't control with training. And that scared me, so I stayed inside, stayed safe, stayed alone. And now you're growing up, going to graduate soon, going to leave. And I realize I don't know you, don't know what you think, what you dream, what you want. I know you get good grades. I know you're strong. I know you're smart, but I don't know you. And that's my fault. That's the cost of armor. It protects you from danger, but it also protects you from love, from connection, from everything that makes life worth living. So please, son, be better than me. Take off the armor, let people in, let yourself feel. Don't wait until it's too late, like I did. Love, Dad. Bill folds the letter, puts it back in the envelope, sets it on the workbench with shaking hands. I was 16 when he died. Found him in the garage, heart attack. He was working on the car. 54 years old, strong, healthy, dropped dead. I've carried this letter for 46 years, in boxes, in storage, and I never opened it until 3 weeks ago. He looks at the camera, eyes wet. I became exactly what he warned me not to become. Silence. Long silence. Only the hum of the camera, the distant sound of traffic outside, the whole world moving while Bill sits still. After the divorce, I lived alone, small apartment near Fort Hood, then this house. Didn't need much space, didn't have much stuff, simply the boxes, the equipment, the memories of people I used to know. I'd go to work, train soldiers, push papers, attend meetings, come home, eat, sleep, repeat. Weekends were worse, no structure, no mission, only time. I'd work on the motorcycle. Been restoring a 1972 Honda CB750. Beautiful bike, classic. Every part clean, every bolt torqued to spec. Perfect maintenance, perfect control. Been working on it 5 years. It's done, has been done for 3 years. But I keep finding things to adjust, to improve, to fix. Because when it's done, I'll have to ride it. And riding means going somewhere, and I have nowhere to go. He stands, paces. The camera follows him poorly. He moves in and out of frame. I retired in 2016, 37 years. Lieutenant Colonel, good career, lots of medals, lots of commendations. Ceremony at Fort Hood. General gave a speech, talked about my service, my dedication, my sacrifice. Sacrifice, that word. Like I gave something up for a greater good, like it was noble. Truth is, I did not sacrifice anything. I hid. I hid behind armor, behind duty, behind mission. I hid from my wife, from my son, from myself, and I called it service. He sits back down, faces the camera. After I retired, I didn't know what to do. No structure, no mission, no reason to wake up at 0500. I tried to relax, tried to enjoy retirement. Everyone mentioned I'd earned it, suggested I should travel, should see the world, should enjoy life. But I didn't know how to do that. Didn't know how to be a person instead of a soldier. So I kept the routines, kept the structure, kept the armor. And slowly the tremors started. At first I thought it was stress, or age, or maybe I'd slept wrong, but they didn't go away. Got worse, went to the VA, got tested, got diagnosed. Parkinson's disease, likely service-related, likely from contaminated training facilities, from bases where chemicals leached into everything, from protection that wasn't protective enough. The irony isn't lost on me. I spent 37 years wearing armor, protecting myself, staying safe, and the thing that's killing me got inside before I ever put the armor on. That's when I realized, you can't armor yourself against everything and trying to cost you the things that actually matter. Bill picks up his phone, shows it to the camera. This is my phone, 200 contacts, maybe 3 are personal. Everyone else is professional. Former colleagues, unit contacts, people I served with but never knew. I scroll to David Maddox, my son, last call 4 years ago, day after Christmas 2018. I'd sent him a check. He'd called to say thank you. We'd talked for maybe 5 minutes. Everything's surface, everything's safe. At the end, he mentioned I should come visit, explained he'd recently bought a house, suggested I should see it. I replied maybe, claimed I was busy, promised we'd figure it out. He responded, okay. Then he told me, I love you, Dad. And I answered, thanks. Thanks. Like he'd held a door for me. Like it was a courtesy, not a gift. There was silence, long silence. Then he stated, I can't do this anymore. Explained he was tired of trying. Insisted if I ever wanted to have a relationship to call him. But he wasn't going to keep reaching out. I answered fine, like it didn't matter, like I didn't care. And we haven't spoken since. Bill sets the phone down. I've picked up the phone 1,000 times in 4 years. Typed messages I never sent. Practiced what I'd say. How I'd apologize. How I'd explain. But every time I get close to pressing send, to making the call, the armor locks down tighter. Tells me it's safer not to. Warns me I'll mess it up worse. Insists he's better off without me. And I listen, because I've been listening to that voice my whole life. He looks at all the equipment laid out on the workbench. Decades of protection. Decades of isolation. So that's why I'm making this video, these videos. I'm going to go through every piece of equipment, explain how it works, why we use it, how it saves lives. But really, I'm going to explain the other kind of armor, the kind you can't see, the kind that protects you from pain, but also from joy, the kind that keeps you safe, but also keeps you alone. And maybe if I can explain it, if I can show how it works, how it forms, how it hardens, then maybe someone watching will recognize it in themselves. We'll take it off before it's too late. Because it's too late for me and my son. Probably. 4 years is a long time. People move on, people stop caring, people give up. But maybe it's not too late for someone else. Bill takes a breath, long breath, steadying. Next time I'll start with the basics. The coveralls, the boots, the gloves, all the physical armor. And I'll tell you the stories, the real stories. Not the ones in the after-action reports, but the ones we don't talk about. The ones that stay inside, the ones that build the armor in the first place. For now, I'm going to stop recording. Going to sit here in my garage, going to look at this equipment, this armor, this protection that protected me from everything except living. And I'm going to decide if I'm brave enough to call my son. He reaches toward the camera, hands shaking, fingers searching for the button. If you're watching this, David, if somehow you find this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I chose armor over you. I'm sorry I was never really there. I'm sorry I answered thanks when you told me I love you. I love you too. I always did. I didn't know how to say it from inside the tank. The red light goes off. The screen goes black. But somewhere in Austin, Texas, in a garage that smells like oil and old memories, Captain William Maddox sits in silence, his hands still shaking, his phone still dark, his armor still on. But for the first time in 62 years, he's wondering what it would feel like to take it off. Outside, the sun sets. Inside, the fluorescent lights hum. And in the space between, a man begins the longest battle of his life. The battle to become vulnerable. The battle to connect. The battle to remove armor that's been welded to his soul for decades. He doesn't know if he'll win, but for the first time, he's willing to fight. The camera blinks back to life. Red light steady, recording. 3 days have passed since the last session. You can tell by Bill's face. He looks older, more tired, like he's been somewhere far away and the journey cost him. He sits on the same stool, same garage, same equipment laid out on the workbench, but something has shifted. The air feels heavier, denser, like the pressure before a storm. His hands shake as he adjusts the camera. Takes him longer this time. The Parkinson's doesn't care about his schedule, doesn't care about his mission. It progresses on its own timeline. Finally, he settles, looks at the lens, doesn't speak right away, breathes in, out, the way you breathe before jumping into cold water, before doing something that scares you. I didn't call him. His voice is rough, like he's been using it too much, or not enough. My son, David. I picked up the phone 17 times in the last 3 days, got as far as his name on the screen. Thumb hovering over the call button, and every time I couldn't do it. He looks away from the camera, at the equipment, at anything else. Funny thing about armor, you wear it long enough it becomes part of you. You don't remember putting it on anymore. Don't remember what it felt like before. It's there, fused to your skin, your bones, your soul maybe, and taking it off. That's like peeling away parts of yourself and what's underneath. After 40 years, after a lifetime, you don't know what you'll find. Might be nothing, might be something worse than nothing. So I didn't call. I told myself it was the wrong time, that I needed to plan what to say, that I needed to finish these videos first. Give him something, some explanation, some reason. But really I was scared. He picks up an item from the workbench. Tanker boots, leather, black, straps instead of laces. Let me tell you about these boots. And let me tell you what happened because of them. November 2004. Fallujah, Iraq. Operation Phantom Fury. I was 44 years old. Lieutenant Colonel. Battalion Executive Officer. Which means I didn't have my own tank anymore. Didn't have my own crew. I coordinated, I managed, I pushed papers and moved pins on maps. But sometimes, when they needed an extra tank commander, when someone was sick or injured or couldn't go out, they'd call me and I'd go, because that's what you do. Because sitting in the TOC, the Tactical Operations Center, felt like hiding. So when Captain Rodriguez went down with food poisoning the night before a big push, when they needed someone to take his tank, his crew, I volunteered. Bill sets the boots down, stands, paces. The camera loses him for a moment, picks him up again. I should explain the crew first, because you need to know them, need to understand who they were. Before I tell you what happened, Sergeant First Class Maria Gonzalez, gunner, 32 years old, single mother, daughter Sophia, 8 years old, back in Texas with Maria's mother. Maria was the first female tanker I'd ever had in my crew. First female tanker I'd ever worked with, actually. The Army was changing, opening combat roles to women, and guys like me, guys from the old guard, we didn't know what to think about that. I remember the first time I climbed into the turret with her. She was checking the gun, bore sighting, making sure everything was aligned, professional, competent, knew her job better than most men I'd served with. And I waited for her to mess up, waited for proof that this was a mistake, that women didn't belong in tanks, that tradition existed for a reason. She never messed up. Not once. Best gunner I ever had. And that scared me more than if she'd been incompetent. Because it meant I was wrong, meant my assumptions were wrong, meant maybe a lot of things I believed were wrong. But I never told her that. Never acknowledged she was good. Merely corrected the small things. The tiny errors that everyone makes. Made her prove herself every single day, even though she'd already proven herself 100 times over. Bill sits back down, hands in his lap, shaking. The loader was Specialist James Chen, 24 years old, Chinese-American. Parents owned a restaurant in San Francisco. He'd gone to college, dropped out, joined the Army to figure it out his life. James wrote poetry, kept a notebook, black moleskin, wrote in it every chance he got. During maintenance, during guard duty, during the long hours of sitting and waiting that make up most of war. I didn't understand that. Didn't understand why you'd write poems in a war zone. Seemed like a waste of time, seemed like not focusing on the mission. One day I asked him, "What do you write about?" He answered everything. The desert, the people, the fear, the boredom, the way light looks different here, the way dust gets into everything, the way you can forget what normal life feels like. He asked if I wanted to read any. I declined, claimed I was sure they were fine, but I wasn't much for poetry. He nodded, closed the notebook, never offered again. Present-day Bill, sitting in his garage, looks at the camera with something like regret. I wish I'd read his poems. Wish I'd asked to see them. Wish I'd understood that writing was his way of processing, his way of staying human, his way of keeping the armor from forming. But I didn't ask because asking would have meant connecting, and connecting would have meant vulnerability, and vulnerability wasn't in my operating manual. The driver was Private First Class Tyler Hutchins, 19 years old, from Detroit, joining right after high school. September 12, 2001, day after the towers fell, explained he wanted to serve, wanted to fight, wanted to matter. Tyler hero worshiped me, called me sir like it was a title of nobility. Asked questions about Desert Storm, about tank tactics, about what it was like to be in real combat. I gave him short answers, factual answers. Keep your spacing, watch your sectors, trust your training, all the things you're supposed to say. None of the things he was actually asking. What he wanted to know, what he was really asking, was, are you scared? Does it ever get easier? Will I be okay? And I never answered those questions, because answering them would have meant admitting I was scared too, that it never gets easier, that nobody knows if they'll be okay. So I simply replied, trust your training. And he responded, yes, sir. And we both pretended that was enough. Bill picks up the tanker boots again, turns them over in his hands. 3 days before the mission, Tyler came to me, mentioned, sir, I need to talk to you. We were doing maintenance. I was checking the turret. Didn't want to stop. Told him make it quick. He showed me his boots. The straps were worn. One of them was starting to fray. Explained he'd put in a requisition 2 months ago. Supply claimed they were back ordered. Asked if there was anything I could do. I looked at the boots, looked at the straps. They were worn but not critical. Would probably last another month, maybe 2. I could have pushed supply, could have called in favors, could have made it happen. I was a lieutenant colonel. I had weight. I had connections. But I'd already filed 50 equipment requests that year, waited on 100 more, fought battle after battle with supply, with procurement, with the whole grinding bureaucracy of war. And I was tired. So I told Tyler the boots were fine, instructed him to make them work, promised we'd get new ones after the mission. He acknowledged, yes, sir, didn't argue, didn't push, simply confirmed, yes, sir. And I went back to checking the turret. Bill sets the boots down, carefully, like they're fragile, like they might break. That was my failure, right there, not the firefight, not the chaos, not the split-second decisions under fire. That moment, 3 days before, when I was tired, when I didn't want to fight another battle with supply, when I chose easy over right. That's where the real failure happened. The camera keeps recording. Bill keeps talking. His voice steady now, like he's testifying, like he's confessing. The mission was simple. Support Marines clearing buildings near MSR, Michigan. Main supply route. We'd roll in, provide security, suppress any resistance, let the infantry do their job. Simple, routine. We'd done it a dozen times. We rolled out at 0600. 4 tanks, Charlie Company. My tank was Chaos 4. Because the Army has a sense of humor. Or irony, hard to tell the difference. The city was already awake. You could feel it. The way the air changes when people are watching, when they're deciding. Friend or enemy, target or civilian, every window a question mark. Maria was on the gun, scanning, sector by sector, smooth, professional. James was ready with the next round. Tyler was driving, steady, confident, everything by the book. And I was in the tank commander position. Head out of the hatch, watching, coordinating, feeling the weight of 3 lives that trusted me. We took up position at an intersection. Overwatch. The Marines went building to building. We waited, watched. The sun climbed, temperature climbed with it. Inside the tank, it was maybe 120 degrees. Outside, maybe 110. Hard to tell which was worse. Tyler asked over the intercom if he could pop his hatch. Get some air, I refused. Stay buttoned up. He confirmed, yes, sir. 20 minutes later, the world exploded. Bill stops, sits there staring at nothing. The camera records the silence, records the way his chest moves. Fast, shallow, like he's back there, like he can smell the smoke. RPG from the rooftop. Hit us on the left side, turret bustle rack, where we store ammunition, extra rounds, supplies. The impact, it's hard to describe. It's not like the movies, not a clean boom. It's a punch, a physical punch that rattles your bones, rattles your brain inside your skull. Everything goes white, then red. Then you're trying to remember where you are, who you are, what you're supposed to do. Training takes over. That's what they say. Muscle memory, drills, thousands of repetitions. So when your brain shuts down, your body knows what to do. I called it in, contact left, RPG, confirmed hit, damage assessment. Maria was already traversing, already searching for the shooter. James was checking ammunition, making sure nothing was cooking off yet. Tyler was asking if we should move, if we should back up. I refused. Hold position. We're okay. The armor held. We're okay. And for maybe 10 seconds, we were okay. Then the fire started. Bill's hands are shaking badly now. He grips them together, tries to steady them. Can't. I don't know what ignited. Maybe hydraulic fluid. Maybe a fuel line got nicked. Maybe something in the bustle rack. Doesn't matter. Fire inside a tank. That's the nightmare. That's the scenario we train for. The scenario we pray never happens. Smoke started filling the turret. Not regular smoke. Chemical smoke. Burning plastic. Burning rubber. Burning things that shouldn't burn. Thick, black. You can't see, can't breathe. Your eyes water. Your lungs scream. I gave the order. Bail out. Now, everyone out. Move, move, move. James went first. Loader's hatch. He was up and out in 3 seconds. Good. Fast. By the book. Maria started to go. Gunner has to exit through the tank commander hatch. My position. So I dropped down, inside the turret, gave her room, ordered her go. She hesitated. Protested, sir, you first. I insisted, that's an order, Sergeant. Go. She went, pulled herself up, out, gone. Tyler should have been right behind her. Driver's hatch is separate, independent. He could get out on his own. But he wasn't moving. Bill stands. Can't sit anymore. Paces. The camera loses him. Finds him. Loses him again. He doesn't care. I called down to him. Tyler, move, get out. We have maybe seconds, maybe less, before the ammunition goes, before the whole tank becomes a coffin. He responded, sir, I'm stuck. My boot, the strap, it's caught. I looked down through the smoke. Couldn't see clearly. Only shapes. Tyler in the driver hole, his foot wedged, the pedal assembly, the strap tangled somehow, caught in the mechanism. Maria was yelling from outside, Captain, get out! It's going to blow! Get out! I could have gone, could have climbed out my hatch, could have saved myself. 3 seconds, maybe 4, out and clear. safe. But Tyler was 19 years old. Tyler had a mother in Detroit who'd sent him care packages every week. Tyler had a girlfriend who wrote him letters that he kept folded in his pocket. Tyler had a whole life ahead of him. And it was my fault he was wearing those boots. My fault the strap was worn. My fault I didn't push supply harder. My fault. So I went down. Bill stops at the workbench, puts both hands on it, leans, like he needs support, like he might fall. The smoke was worse down in the hall, thicker, hotter. I dropped into the turret basket, squeezed past the gun, found the opening to the driver compartment. Tyler's face, I can still see it, will always see it. 19 years old, terrified, eyes streaming from smoke, coughing, trying to reach his boot, trying to pull free. I reached down, grabbed the grab handle on his coveralls, that strap that goes under the armpits, designed exactly for this, for pulling crew members out, for saving lives. I pulled. He didn't move. The angle was wrong. The turret was rotated. I couldn't get leverage, couldn't get position. Pulled harder, nothing. I heard ammunition cooking off. That distinct sound. Pops. Small at first, getting louder, getting faster. Like popcorn. Like death counting down. I had maybe 10 seconds. I had a knife, standard issue, on my belt, sharp. Could cut through the strap, could cut Tyler free. Or I could cut through his boot, cut the leather, free his foot, leave the boot behind. 10 seconds, maybe less. Tyler looked at me. Didn't say anything. Didn't have to. His eyes communicated everything. Pleaded please. Begged help me. Confessed I don't want to die here. Whispered I'm 19 years old. Cried I want to go home. I made the choice. Bill turns, faces the camera. His face is wet. Not crying, not exactly. Wet. Like he's been underwater, like he's drowning. I cut the strap, the boot strap, the worn strap that I'd told him was fine. Cut through it in one motion. Tyler's foot came free. I grabbed him, pulled him up, out of the driver hole, into the turret, pushed him toward the hatch. He went, climbed, fast as he could with one boot on, one boot off, up through my hatch, out into daylight, into air, into life. I followed, 3 seconds behind him, maybe 4. Climbed, pulled myself up, arms burning, lungs burning, everything burning. I got my chest out of the hatch, got my arms over the side. Tyler was on the ground 20 feet away. Maria dragging him, James helping, getting distance, getting safe. I pushed up, got my waist clear, got my legs up. The ammunition cooked off. Main gun rounds, the big ones, the ones that can penetrate armor, that can destroy other tanks. The explosion blew the turret, separated it from the hull, threw it 6 feet, threw me 12 feet, into the air, into space, into nothing. I don't remember landing, don't remember the impact. Brain shuts down for those parts. Protective mechanism, saves you from the worst of it. I remember waking up, face down in the dirt, ears ringing, can't hear, can't see clearly, everything red, everything pain. I remember hands on me, rolling me over, Maria's face, saying something. Can't hear what, only see her mouth moving. See concern, see fear. I remember trying to sit up. She pushed me down, gentle but firm. Stay down, sir. Medic's coming, stay down. I remember asking about Tyler, trying to ask, can't hear my own voice, can't hear anything except ringing, high-pitched, constant, like the world is screaming. She gestured something, pointed. I turned my head, saw Tyler. On his back, James doing chest compressions, blood everywhere. Too much blood. I tried to get up, had to help, had to do something. Maria held me down. Sir, you're hurt. Stay down. Let them work. I wasn't hurt. Only burns. Shrapnel. Blood. Not hurt. Not like Tyler. But I couldn't move. Couldn't fight. Could only watch. Watch James doing compressions. Watch Tyler not responding. Watch the blood pool in the dirt. Watch 19 years old bleed out in the street. The medics came, took over, worked on Tyler, worked on me, didn't want them working on me, needed them on Tyler, but they worked on both of us. Professional, efficient, doing jobs they'd done too many times. They loaded Tyler into a vehicle. Case vac, casualty evacuation. Rushed him out. Sirens, speed, urgency. They wanted to load me too. I refused, insisted I was fine, claimed I could walk, declared I needed to stay with my crew. My crew. 2 people. Should have been 3. Should have been 4 counting me. But one was racing toward a field hospital, racing toward surgery, racing toward a chance. Bill sits back down, slowly, like every movement hurts. Tyler lived. I should clarify that first. He lived. Broke his ankle getting out. Smoke inhalation, blood loss from shrapnel. But he lived. They flew him to Germany, then Walter Reed. Weeks of surgery, months of recovery, medical discharge, honorable, Purple Heart. All the things we give people when we break them. I got patched up in the field. 2nd-degree burns on my hands and face. Shrapnel in my back. 7 pieces, too small to remove, too deep to leave alone. So they're still there, still in me. 7 pieces of that day, permanent. They wanted to evacuate me. I refused, insisted I was fine, claimed I could return to duty. They protested, "Sir, you need treatment." I argued I got treatment. Now I need to get back to work. What I really needed, what I couldn't admit, was I needed to not think, not feel, not process. I needed mission, needed focus, needed armor. So I went back to the TOC, went back to pushing pins on maps, went back to coordinating, managing, hiding. And I never talked about it, never processed it, never dealt with it, simply added it to the pile, added it to all the other things I didn't talk about, all the other things locked away behind armor. They wanted to put me in for a silver star, claimed I'd saved Tyler's life, insisted I'd risk my own to go back in, declared it was heroic. I refused, stated I didn't want it, explained I was doing my job, insisted any tank commander would have done the same. What I didn't mention, what I couldn't admit, was I'm the reason he was wearing those boots. I'm the reason the strap was worn. I'm the reason he needed saving in the first place. You don't get medals for cleaning up your own mistakes. Bill looks at the camera, direct, unflinching. This is what I learned in Fallujah. This is what I learned from those boots, from that fire, from that choice. Equipment matters. The gear matters. The maintenance matters. The little things you ignore, the requisitions you don't push, the corners you cut because you're tired, because you've fought too many battles with supply, because you can't anymore. Those little things, they kill people. But here's the other thing I learned. The thing I didn't understand until much later, until years later, until now maybe. The armor doesn't only protect you from danger, it protects you from responsibility, from guilt, from feeling the weight of your choices. I spent 3 days after Fallujah telling myself I'd saved Tyler, that I'd made the right choice, that everything worked out. That's what everyone told me. Good job, sir. Quick thinking. You saved his life. But I knew the truth, knew I'd endangered his life first, knew that 3 days earlier I could have prevented the whole thing, could have pushed supply, could have made them find boots, could have put Tyler's safety over my own exhaustion. And that knowledge, that truth, I locked it away, behind armor, behind duty, behind mission. Locked it away so deep I almost forgot it was there. Almost. Bill stands, walks off camera. You hear sounds, drawers opening, items moving. He comes back holding something, a photograph. This is Tyler, 6 months after Fallujah, Walter Reed Hospital. He's in a wheelchair, leg cast, bandages, but smiling, actually smiling. I went to visit him, felt obligated, felt like I should, though I didn't want to see what I'd done, what I'd failed to prevent. He was in the burn unit, room shared with 3 other soldiers, all younger, all broken in different ways, all smiling, all acting like everything was fine. Tyler saw me. "Lit up!" exclaimed, "Sir," repeated Captain Maddox, declared thank you, insisted you saved my life. I deflected, it was nothing, claimed doing my job, stated I was glad he was okay. All the things you say, all the deflections, all the armor. He asked me to sit. I protested I couldn't stay long, explained I had to get back to base, which was a lie. I had nowhere to be, nothing to do, needed to leave, needed to escape. But he asked about the crew, about Maria, about James, about the tank, about everything. And I gave short answers, factual answers. Everyone's fine. Tank was replaced. Mission continues. And Tyler nodded, agreed that's good, mentioned he wished he could have stayed, confessed he missed it, missed the crew, missed the mission, missed feeling like he mattered. And I should have told him, should have stated you matter now. You mattered then. You matter without the tank, without the mission. You matter because you're you. But I didn't say that because saying that would have been connecting, would have been vulnerable, would have been human. So I simply replied, you served honorably. You did your duty. Be proud. And he confirmed, yes, sir. Like it was enough. Like it meant something, when really it meant nothing. Bill sets the photograph down. I never visited him again. Told myself I was busy. Told myself he had family. Told myself he'd be fine without me. Told myself everything except the truth. The truth was looking at Tyler hurt. Reminded me of my failure. Reminded me that armor doesn't protect other people, only protects you. And I wasn't ready to face that, wasn't ready to take off the armor, even for someone who'd bled because of my choices. So I stayed away, stayed behind the armor, stayed safe. And Tyler recovered, got medical discharge, went home to Detroit, started a new life, a life I'm not part of, a life I know nothing about. Because that's what armor does. It doesn't simply protect you from danger. It protects you from connection, from consequence, from being human. Bill sits, puts his face in his hands. The camera records it all, records the shaking, records the breathing, records the cost of remembering. After Fallujah, I should have gotten help, should have talked to someone, should have processed, should have dealt with the trauma, the guilt, the weight, but I didn't, because asking for help would have been admitting weakness, would have been admitting the armor had cracks. And admitting cracks means the whole thing might fall apart. So I kept going, kept working, kept adding to the pile of things I don't talk about, things I don't feel, things I lock away. And I got good at it, really good. Practiced for decades, until the armor was so thick, so complete, that I forgot there was anything underneath. Bill looks up, looks at the camera, eyes red, face tired. In 2005, I was at Walter Reed. Different visit, my own injuries. Follow-up treatment, burns healing wrong, scar tissue, minor surgery, nothing major. Maria Gonzalez came to see me. Brought her daughter, Sophia, 8 years old, beautiful kid, shy, hiding behind her mother's leg. Maria stated, sir, I wanted you to meet Sophia. Wanted her to meet the man who saved her mother. Wanted her to say thank you. And Sophia came forward, looked up at me with big brown eyes, whispered thank you for saving my mom. Explained I drew you a picture, held out a piece of paper, crayon drawing, stick figures, a tank, an American flag, hearts everywhere. I took the picture, didn't know what to say, didn't know how to respond to a child's gratitude. So I simply replied, you're welcome. Mentioned your mom is a good soldier. Suggested you should be proud of her. Sophia hugged me. Quick hug, child hug. Then ran back to her mother. And Maria smiled. Sad smile, grateful smile, complicated smile. She requested, sir, can I talk to you? Private. I agreed, of course. We stepped into the hallway, stood by a window. Afternoon light, dust motes, everything quiet. She confessed, sir, my husband left me when I deployed, came home to divorce papers. He claimed he couldn't handle it, couldn't handle being married to a soldier, couldn't handle the worry, the absence, the risk. She explained Sophia asks about her daddy, asks why he doesn't visit, why he doesn't call, why he doesn't want to see her. And I don't know what to tell her, how to explain that some people can't handle it, can't handle loving someone who might not come home. She looked at me, really looked, seeing something I didn't want seen. She continued, sir, that's why I became a tanker, why I chose armor, because inside that tank, behind all that steel, I don't have to feel it, don't have to feel the pain, the rejection, the loss. I can focus on the mission, be a soldier, survive. She concluded, you taught me that, how to put on the armor, how to lock away feelings, how to be professional, detached, safe. And I thought she was thanking me, thought she was expressing gratitude, but then she stated it. Declared, sir, whoever you're hiding from behind all that armor, they're not the enemy, your family, your feelings, your pain, they're not the enemy. The enemy is the armor itself, the thing that keeps you safe but also keeps you alone. And eventually, when the war is over, when you take off the uniform, the armor doesn't come off, it's fused, permanent, part of you. And then you're alone. She pleaded, please, sir, let someone in before it's too late. Bill stops talking. Sits. The camera records the silence. I didn't know how to respond. Didn't know what to say. Didn't know how to admit she was right. That I was exactly what she described. That I'd been hiding my whole life. So I simply replied, "Thank you, Sergeant." Acknowledged I appreciate your concern. Claimed I'm fine. And she confirmed, "Yes, sir." Like she expected that answer. Like she knew I wouldn't let her in, wouldn't let anyone in. She gave me a piece of paper, folded, explained I wrote this after Fallujah, was going to mail it. Never did. Thought maybe you should have it now. I took it, put it in my pocket, promised thank you, assured I'd read it later. She smiled, suggested take care of yourself, sir, then left. Took Sophia's hand, walked away, and I never saw her again. Bill reaches into his pocket, pulls out a worn piece of paper, unfolds it. The creases are deep, white lines on yellowed paper, been folded and unfolded many times. I read it that night, in my hospital room, alone, and then I put it away, locked it away, with everything else. Didn't look at it again for 10 years. But 3 weeks ago, after my diagnosis, after my father's letter, after realizing I'm dying alone, I found it again, read it again. And this time I actually heard what she was saying. He reads, voice steady, each word careful. Captain Maddox, sir, I'm writing this because I don't know how to say it to your face. Don't know if you'd hear it, even if I did. You saved my life in Fallujah. You risked everything to push me out that hatch, to make sure I survived. And I will be grateful for that until the day I die. Sophia will grow up knowing about you, knowing what you did, knowing that heroes exist. But sir, I'm also writing because I'm worried about you, because I see you, see the armor you wear. Not simply Nomex, not merely Kevlar, but the other kind, the invisible kind, the kind that keeps everyone at distance. I know that armor. I wear it too. We all do. Everyone who's been in combat, everyone who's seen things we can't unsee. We wear armor to survive, to function, to keep going. But sir, at some point the war ends. At some point we have to take off the armor, have to let people in, have to be human again. And I'm scared you won't. Scared you'll wear it forever until you forget there's anything underneath. My daughter asks about her father, the man who left us. And I tell her some people are too scared to love, too scared to be vulnerable, too scared to risk pain. And they choose safety instead. Choose distance. Choose alone. Please don't be that person. Please don't let the armor win. Because the world needs you. Not Captain Maddox. Not the tank commander, but William. The man underneath. The man who's been hiding for so long, he's forgotten he exists. Let someone see you. Let someone know you. Let someone love you. Before it's too late. With respect and gratitude. Sergeant First Class Maria Gonzalez. Bill folds the letter, slowly puts it back in his pocket. She wrote that in 2005, 17 years ago. I read it once, put it away, never responded, never acknowledged it, never let it change anything. Because change would have meant admitting she was right, would have meant taking off the armor, would have meant being vulnerable. And I couldn't do that, wasn't ready, wasn't willing, wasn't brave enough. So I kept going, kept serving, kept hiding. For 11 more years until my body started betraying me, until the Parkinson started showing me that armor doesn't protect against everything. That eventually, no matter how thick the steel, how complete the protection, life finds a way in. Bill looks at the camera. Maria Gonzalez was right about everything, about me, about the armor, about the beer. And I didn't listen, couldn't listen, wouldn't listen. And now I'm 62 years old, divorced, estranged from my son, no friends, no connections, no one who would notice if I disappeared. Only me and my garage full of equipment. Me and my armor. Me and my regrets. Is it too late? That's what I keep asking myself. Is it too late to take off the armor? To let someone in, to be human again? I'm not certain. Honestly uncertain. 40 years is a long time. Habits form, patterns solidify, armor fuses to skin, and what's underneath, after all that time, might not be worth seeing. But I'm going to try to find out, going to try to connect, to reach out, to be vulnerable. Starting with Tyler, starting with Maria, starting with the people I failed, the people I owe, the people who deserve better than my armor. And maybe, if I'm very lucky, if I'm very brave, Maybe I'll try with David, with my son, with the person I hurt most, the person who deserves the most, the person I'm most scared to face. But first I need to tell you the rest. Need to tell you about the other equipment, the other armor, the other ways we protect ourselves, the other ways we hide. Because this isn't only my story. This is every veteran's story, every soldier's story, every person who's ever put on armor and forgotten how to take it off. And maybe if I can explain it, if I can show you how it works, how it forms, how it becomes permanent, maybe someone watching will recognize it, will see themselves, will take off their armor before it's too late. Before they end up like me, alone in a garage, shaking hands, dying slowly, with nobody to say goodbye to. Bill reaches towards the camera, hands shaking, fingers searching. Next time I'll tell you about reconnecting, about trying to find the people I left behind, about whether it's possible to remove armor that's been worn for 40 years, about whether there's anything underneath worth saving. For now, I need to stop, need to think, need to decide if I'm brave enough to actually do this, to actually reach out, to actually try. The red light goes off, the screen goes black, and somewhere in Austin, Texas, in a garage full of memories and regrets, Captain William Maddox sits in silence, holding a letter from 17 years ago, holding a truth he's finally ready to face, holding the first crack in armor that's been solid for a lifetime. It's not much, but it's a start. And sometimes, when you've been hiding forever, when you've been alone forever, when you've been safe forever, a start is all you need, all you can handle, all you can hope for. The camera comes to life, red light, recording, but something is different. The garage looks the same workbench, same equipment, same American flag on the wall, but the light has changed. Morning light, golden, soft, the kind of light that makes everything look hopeful even when it shouldn't. Bill sits on his stool, but he's different too. Hard to say how exactly. Maybe the way he holds himself, maybe the expression on his face, maybe simply the fact that he's here, recording again. When he could have stopped, could have given up, could have stayed behind the armor. But he's here, his hands still shake. The Parkinson's doesn't care about character development, doesn't care about emotional breakthroughs. It progresses, inevitable, unstoppable, like time itself. But Bill looks at his shaking hands differently now. Not with frustration, not with anger, with acceptance. This is who he is now. This is what's happening. Fighting it won't help. Hiding from it won't help. Only facing it will help. He looks at the camera, takes a breath, begins. I called him. 3 words. Simple. But the weight behind them. The history, the fear, the hope. You can hear it all in his voice. Tyler Hutchins found his number through the VA, through veteran networks, through people who knew people. Took me 3 days, 3 days of searching, of asking, of working up the courage. And then I sat with his number on my screen for 2 hours, thumb hovering. Same as with David, same paralysis, same fear. But this time I pressed call. Bill pauses, remembering. It rang 4 times. Each ring felt like an hour, like a lifetime, like every mistake I ever made compressed into sound, into waiting. On the 5th ring he answered. Simply hello, easy, like it wasn't the most terrifying word I'd ever heard. I stated, Tyler, this is Captain Maddox, Bill Maddox, from Fallujah, from 2004. I hope this isn't a bad time. I can call back if it is. There was silence, long silence, and I thought he hung up, thought he didn't want to talk to me, thought I'd waited 18 years too long. But then he responded, sir, Captain Maddox, I can't believe it's you. And his voice, it wasn't angry, wasn't cold. It was warm, surprised, happy even. Like hearing from me was a good thing, like I was someone worth hearing from. I didn't expect that. Bill stands, walks to the workbench, picks up a photograph, shows it to the camera. Tyler sent me this. 2 days after we talked. Email attachment. Subject line read then and now. The photograph shows a man, 37 years old, standing in front of a high school, red brick American flag, students visible in the background. Tyler Hutchins, history teacher. Detroit, married, 2 kids, living the life he almost didn't get to live. Bill sets the photo down, gently. We talked, for an hour. That first call, maybe longer. I lost track of time. Haven't done that in years, decades maybe. But with Tyler, I talked and listened and talked some more. He told me about recovery, about Walter Reed, about the surgeries, about learning to walk again, about the pain, the therapy, the slow grinding work of healing. He told me about going home, about his mother, about his girlfriend who waited, who visited him in the hospital, who married him 2 years later, about choosing to live instead of surviving. He told me about becoming a teacher, about wanting to make a difference, about teaching history to kids who think history is boring, about making it real, Memo, making it matter, making it connect. And then he asked, "Sir, can I ask you something? Can I ask you what I wanted to ask in the hospital but didn't?" I agreed, of course. Anything, even though I was terrified, even though I knew what was coming. He questioned, "Why did you come back for me? Why did you risk your life? Why didn't you save yourself?" And I could have lied, could have claimed training, could have mentioned duty, could have insisted that's what officers do, could have hidden behind armor one more time. But I didn't. Bill sits back down, looks directly at the camera, at Tyler maybe, at whoever is listening. I told him the truth. Told him it was my fault he was wearing those boots. My fault the strap was worn. My fault I didn't push supply harder. My fault I chose easy over right. I told him I came back because I owed him. Because he was 19 years old. Because he had a whole life ahead of him. Because I couldn't live with myself if I didn't try. I told him I've carried that moment for 18 years. Carried the weight of it, the guilt of it, the knowledge that my choices almost killed him. And Tyler was quiet, long quiet, and I thought I'd said too much. Thought I'd burdened him with my guilt. Thought I'd made it about me instead of him. But then he declared, "Sir, I forgive you." Like that, simple, direct, no hesitation. He continued, "I forgive you for the boots, for the choice you made 3 days before, for being human, for being tired, for being imperfect." He emphasized, "I'm alive because of you. My wife exists because of you. My kids exist because of you. Everything good in my life exists because you came back for me." He insisted I don't care about the boots. I care that you cared enough to risk everything, that you valued my life over your own, that you made the hard choice when it mattered most. He explained, "That's what I teach my students, that mistakes happen, that we all fail, that we all fall short. But what matters is what we do when it counts. How we respond when everything is on the line. Who we choose to be in the crucial moment. And you chose me, sir. You chose my life. You chose to come back. And that choice gave me everything." Bill's voice breaks, a little, enough. I didn't know what to say. Didn't know how to respond to forgiveness I didn't think I deserved. So I simply replied, "Thank you." Mentioned I'm glad you're okay. Confessed I'm proud of you. Offered all the inadequate things you say when someone gives you grace you can't repay. And Tyler asked, "Sir, can I ask you something else? Can I ask you about the video, about why you're making it?" And I realized he'd found the first one, the first recording, somehow. YouTube algorithm, veteran networks, however these things work. He explained, "I watched it. Watched you talk about armor, about hiding, about being alone. And sir, I recognized you, not the captain from Fallujah, but the person underneath, the person who's been hiding." He confessed, "I'm worried about you. Same way you were worried about me. Same way you came back for me. I want to come back for you." He proposed, "I'm in Austin next month. Teachers conference. Let me buy you coffee. Let me sit with you. Let me be there the way you were there for me." Bill stops, sits there looking at his hands, at the tremor that won't quit, at the physical manifestation of losing control. I agreed, yes, I'd like that. Coffee sounds good, even though coffee sounds terrifying, even though sitting with someone, being vulnerable with someone, letting someone see me, all of that sounds impossible. But I agreed anyway, because Tyler is right. He came back for me after 18 years, after everything. He came back. And if he can forgive me, if he can see value in knowing me, then maybe I'm not as broken as I think. Maybe there's something underneath the armor worth saving. Bill picks up another item from the workbench. The Stetson, brown, 11th Cavalry, combat knot tied. "Let me tell you about this hat, about what it means, about what happened when I tried to reconnect with the past." Leonard Graves, my gunner from Desert Storm, from 1991. From the beginning of all this, I hadn't spoken to him in 31 years. Not since we rotated back stateside. Not since we went our separate ways. Not since I started building walls instead of friendships. I found him through Facebook, which feels wrong somehow. Finding your combat crew on social media. Like mixing worlds that shouldn't mix, but that's how things work now. I sent a message. Short, awkward. Mentioned I was his tank commander in Desert Storm. Explained I was wondering how he was doing. Requested I'd like to reconnect if he was interested. 3 hours later, he responded. Bill Maddox, Bayonet 3. Damn man, where have you been for 31 years? Bill smiles. Small smile, first real smile in these videos. We set up a call. Voice call, old school. And when he answered, I heard his laugh. That same laugh from 1991. From the desert. From when we were young and everything was possible. He teased Captain, you sound old. I countered, I am old. We're both old. He protested, speak for yourself. I'm distinguished. And we laughed. Actually laughed. And I couldn't remember the last time I laughed. Really laughed. Not polite laughter. Not forced laughter. But real laughter that comes from connection. From history. From knowing someone knew you when. Leonard told me about his life. About retiring from the Army after 20 years. About moving back to Tennessee. About opening an auto shop. About his grandkids. 7 of them, 7. He reflected, I got out at the right time. Got to watch my kids grow up. Got to be present. Got to be more than a soldier. Got to be a father, a grandfather, a person. And I heard what he didn't say. Heard the contrast. Heard the choice he made that I didn't make. Heard the life he built that I didn't build. He asked about me, about my family, about what I've been doing. And I could have lied. Could have made it sound good. Could have claimed I'm retired, living in Texas, doing fine. But Leonard knew me in combat, knew me when I was 31 and trying to be brave, knew me before I perfected the armor. So lying felt wrong, felt impossible. I told him the truth, told him about the divorce, about David, about being alone, about the Parkinsons, about the videos, about everything. And Leonard listened, didn't interrupt, didn't judge. Simply listen the way good soldiers listen, the way crew members listen, with full attention, with respect. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then he stated, Bill, I'm going to tell you something I should have told you in 91, something I didn't tell you because you were my officer, because there was a line, because I didn't think it was my place. He continued, you were a good tank commander, kept us alive, made good decisions, did your job, but you were always separate. Always distant, always behind a wall. We felt it. The whole crew, we try to connect, try to joke, try to get you to open up. And you'd give us enough. Enough to seem normal, enough to seem fine, but never more. And after the war, after we came home, I thought maybe you'd change. Thought maybe combat would crack you open, would make you realize life's too short to hide. But it didn't. It made you hide more, made you better at hiding, made hiding your default. And I wanted to reach out, wanted to call, wanted to tell you it was okay to be human, okay to be vulnerable, okay to let people in. But I didn't because I thought you didn't want that, thought you wanted distance, thought that's who you were. Bill's hands gripped the edge of the workbench, knuckles white, voice tight. Leonard confessed, but I was wrong. You did want connection. You didn't know how to ask for it, didn't know how to reach out, didn't know how to be anything except the officer. The commander, the one in charge. And that's my failure too. I should have pushed, should have insisted, should have broken through that wall even if you didn't want me to. Because that's what crew does. That's what brothers do. They don't let you hide. They don't let you suffer alone. They make you deal with your shit. And I didn't do that. I let you walk away, let you disappear, let you be alone. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry I didn't come after you. But I'm here now. I'm here now, and I'm not letting you do this alone anymore. He declared, I'm coming to Austin. Next weekend, I'm driving up from Tennessee. It's 12 hours, but I don't care. I'm coming, and we're going to sit in your garage, and we're going to go through all that equipment. And you're going to tell me every story, every memory, every piece of pain you have been carrying. And I'm going to listen, and then I'm going to help you figure out what comes next. Because you don't get to die alone in a garage. Not on my watch, not my tank commander. Bill looks at the camera, eyes wet again. He came, last weekend, showed up at my door at 8 in the morning, 70 years old, gray hair, still built like a tank, still got that smile. He walked into my garage, looked around, looked at all the equipment, all the boxes, all the accumulated weight of a lifetime. He observed, damn Bill, this is a museum or a tomb, hard to tell which. I admitted both probably. He decided we're changing that. Starting now. We spent the whole day going through everything. Every piece of gear, every photograph, every memory. And Leonard listened, asked questions, made me explain, made me feel, made me confront things I'd been avoiding for decades. When we got to my father's letter, the one I'd carried for 46 years, the one I'd only read 3 weeks ago, Leonard read it quietly, carefully, then folded it and handed it back. He concluded your father knew what armor does, knew what it costs, tried to warn you, tried to save you from repeating his mistakes. But you can't learn that lesson from a letter, can't learn it from words, can only learn it from living, from failing, from being alone long enough that you finally understand why you're alone. He challenged, you've learned it now. Question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to keep being alone, keep wearing the armor, keep hiding until there's nothing left to hide? Or are you going to fight? Fight to connect, fight to be vulnerable, fight to be human while you still can. And I knew the answer, had known since the diagnosis, since Tyler's call, since this moment right now, recording, confessing, being seen. I'm going to fight. Bill stands, walks to a new box, one that wasn't in the previous videos, opens it, pulls out items one by one. After Leonard left, I started organizing, started sorting, started deciding what to keep and what to let go. This is my father's tanker jacket, World War II, Korea, worn by Master Sergeant Robert Maddox. I'm keeping this, passing it to David, if he'll take it, not as a burden, not as a requirement, but as a connection, as history, as proof that Maddox men served, and sometimes survived, and sometimes learned, even if we learned too late. This is my CVC coveralls, the ones from Desert Storm, from Fallujah, from every deployment, every mission, every time I chose armor over connection. I'm donating this to a museum, to a collection, to somewhere people can see it and learn what it protects, learn what it costs, learn when to wear it, and more importantly, when to take it off. These are my tanker boots, the ones that walked through deserts, through cities, through decades. They're worn, straps fraying, like Tyler's, like all of us, worn down by use, by time, by carrying weight we were never meant to carry alone. I'm keeping these as a reminder that equipment fails, that we all need maintenance, that asking for new boots isn't weakness, it's survival. He sets the items on the workbench, arranges them carefully, like a display, like an offering. And this is new. He holds up a photograph. Recent cell phone photo, quality not great, but the content is everything. This is from yesterday. Maria Gonzalez, my gunner from Fallujah. I found her through veteran networks, through the VA, through people who knew people, same as Tyler. She lives in San Antonio now, 2 hours from Austin, works for a nonprofit, veteran services, helping soldiers transition, helping them deal with trauma, helping them take off the armor. I drove down to meet her. First time I've seen her in 17 years, since Walter Reed, since she gave me that letter, since she tried to warn me, since I didn't listen. She looks older. We all look older, but she still has that same direct gaze, that same strength, that same ability to see through bullshit, through armor, through everything I used to hide. We met at a coffee shop, neutral ground, safe. I got there early, nervous, hands shaking worse than usual. Thought about leaving, thought about calling to cancel, thought about running. But then she walked in, saw me, smiled, and crossed the room like no time had passed at all. She sat down. Greeted, sir, I corrected. Don't call me sir, I'm not your commander anymore. Call me Bill. She agreed, okay, Bill. Old dog learning new tricks. We talked for 3 hours. About Fallujah, about Tyler, about the letter, about the 17 years since, about her daughter Sophia, now 25, working as a therapist, veterans mental health, wants to help soldiers, wants to follow her mother's path. Maria mentioned Sophia remembers you, remembers meeting you at the hospital, remembers drawing you that picture, still has the letter you wrote her, thanking her for the drawing, telling her to take care of her mom. I didn't remember writing that letter, didn't remember anything except being uncomfortable, being awkward, being unable to connect with a child's innocent gratitude. But apparently I did. Apparently some part of me, beneath the armor, wanted to connect, wanted to respond, wanted to be human. Even if I didn't know how, Maria asked she read my letter, the one I never responded to, the one from 17 years ago. She questioned if it made a difference, if it changed anything, if it helped. I told her the truth, told her I read it once, put it away, hid from it for a decade, because facing it would have meant facing myself, facing the truth about who I'd become, what I'd sacrificed, what I'd lost. But I read it again, 3 weeks ago, after the diagnosis, after everything. And this time I heard it, really heard it, every word, every warning, every offer of grace. And that's why I'm here, why I'm making these videos, why I'm trying to reconnect, trying to change, trying to be the person underneath the armor before it's too late. Maria reached across the table, took my shaking hand in her steady one, declared it's not too late. It's never too late, not until you're dead, and you're not dead yet. She explained the armor doesn't define you. It's something you wear, something you can take off. It feels permanent, feels fused, feels like identity, but it's not. It's protection. And when the war is over, when you're safe, protection becomes prison. She revealed I spent 5 years in therapy learning that, learning to take off my armor, learning to be vulnerable, learning to let people in, including my daughter, including myself. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, harder than Fallujah, harder than deployment, harder than anything. But it was worth it, because now I'm not surviving, I'm living, I'm connected, I'm human, I'm whole. And you can do it too. You can learn, you can change, you can let people in, even at 62, even with Parkinson's, even after a lifetime of hiding. You can still choose connection, still choose vulnerability, still choose life. Bill sets the photograph down, picks up his phone. That conversation was yesterday. And last night, after I got home, after I sat in my garage thinking about everything Maria mentioned, everything Leonard stated, everything Tyler expressed, I picked up my phone and I scrolled to David's name, my son, my 41-year-old son who I haven't spoken to in 4 years, who blocked my number, who gave up on me, who had every right to give up on me. And my thumb hovered over the call button. Same as always, same paralysis, same fear. But this time I thought about Tyler, about forgiving me, about giving me grace I didn't deserve, about coming back for me. I thought about Leonard, about driving 12 hours, about refusing to let me die alone, about being the crew member I needed even when I didn't know I needed him. I thought about Maria, about holding my shaking hand, about telling me it's not too late, about believing in me when I don't believe in myself. I thought about James Chen too, the loader from Fallujah, the one who wrote poetry, the one I never asked about. After Maria, I tracked him down, found him in San Francisco, running his parents' restaurant, still writing, published a collection of war poems 2 years ago. He sent me a copy, inscribed to Captain Maddox, who taught me discipline, but I had to learn humanity on my own. I read every poem, cried through most of them, called him, apologized. He laughed, said, "Sir, we all had to learn, some of us earlier than others. We talk now, once a month, about poetry, about food, about life, about everything I avoided for 18 years. And I thought about my father, about that letter, about his warning, about his regret, about dying at 54 without ever learning to take off the armor. And I pressed call. Bill stops, takes a breath, long breath, the longest breath. It rang once, twice, 3 times, 4. I thought voicemail, thought I'd leave a message, thought that would be easier anyway. Less confrontation, less risk, less everything. But on the 5th ring, he answered, cautiously, hello, suspicious. He didn't recognize the number. I'd called from a different phone because my number was blocked. I stated, "David, this is your father, this is Bill. I know you blocked my number. I know you don't want to talk to me. I know I have no right to call, but I'm calling anyway. And if you want to hang up, that's okay. That's your choice. But I'm asking you to listen for a minute, long enough for me to say what I should have said 4 years ago, what I should have said 40 years ago." There was silence. Long silence. I thought he hung up, thought I'd waited too long, thought I'd lost my chance, lost my son, lost everything. But then he replied, I'm listening. I'm listening. Not hostile, not warm, neutral, giving me space, giving me a chance I didn't deserve, a chance I had to take. Bill's voice changes, gets softer, more careful, like he's handling something fragile, something that might break. I apologize, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't there, wasn't present, wasn't the father you needed. I chose the army over you, chose the mission over you, chose armor over you. And that was wrong. That was my failure. That was my sin. I acknowledge you told me you loved me 4 years ago, and I answered thanks, like it was nothing. Like love was a courtesy instead of a gift. Like you were holding a door instead of offering your heart. And I've thought about that moment every day for 4 years. Thought about how wrong I was, how broken I was, how lost I was, how much I hurt you. I confessed I love you too. I always loved you. I didn't know how to say it, didn't know how to show it, didn't know how to be anything except the officer, the commander, the one in control. But I'm not in control anymore. I have Parkinson's disease. My hands shake. My body's failing. Everything I used to rely on, everything I used to be, it's leaving, slowly, inevitably. And I'm scared. I'm 62 years old and I'm scared. Scared of dying, scared of being alone, scared that I wasted my whole life hiding from the people who mattered most. Scared that I lost you, lost my chance, lost my son. I explained I'm making videos about tank equipment, about armor, about what it protects, what it costs, what it does to you when you wear it too long. And I'm making them for you, as an explanation, as an apology, as a legacy, as something you'll have when I'm gone. So you'll know, so you'll understand, so you'll see who I was underneath the armor, even if I didn't show you while I was alive. I admitted I know 4 years is a long time. I know sorry isn't enough. I know I can't fix the past, can't undo the damage, can't give you back the father you should have had. But I'm asking, if there's any part of you that's willing, any part that hasn't given up completely, I'd like to try. Try to be your father, try to be present, try to know you before it's too late. And if you say no, if you hang up, if you block this number too, I'll understand, I'll accept that, I'll live with that, because you deserve better than what I gave you. You always deserve better. But I'm asking anyway, because that's what Maria taught me, that's what Tyler taught me, that's what Leonard taught me, that you have to ask, have to risk, have to be vulnerable, even when it's terrifying, especially when it's terrifying. Because the alternative is dying alone, dying with regrets, dying without ever trying. And I don't want that. I don't want to be my father. Dying at 54 with a letter in my pocket that I never had the courage to give you. I want to be different, be better, be brave enough to take off the armor, be brave enough to be seen, be brave enough to fail, because trying and failing is better than never trying at all. Bill stops, sits, looks at the camera with an expression that's hard to name. Hope, maybe, or fear, or both. David was quiet. So quiet I could hear him breathing, could hear traffic in the background, could hear life happening wherever he was. Life I wasn't part of, life I'd chosen not to be part of. And then he spoke. Dad. First time he'd called me dad in years, maybe decades. Always called me sir, called me captain, called me anything except dad. He stated, Dad, I watched your videos, found them 3 weeks ago. YouTube recommended them. Algorithm, whatever. I watched them, all of them, every second. And I saw you, really saw you, for the first time maybe, saw the person underneath the uniform, underneath the rank, underneath everything you used to hide. I saw you struggling, saw you trying, saw you finally being honest, finally being vulnerable, finally being human. And it made me angry, made me so angry, because where was that person when I was growing up? When I needed a father, when I needed connection, when I needed you. But it also made me sad, made me realize you were suffering too, that you were trapped, that you didn't know how to be different, that the armor you wore to protect yourself was killing you slowly, was killing us slowly, was killing everything you touched. He continued, I've been angry for 4 years, angry for longer than that, angry my whole life maybe, angry at you for choosing everything else over me, angry at myself for not being enough to make you stay, angry at the whole situation. But watching those videos, hearing you talk, seeing you shake, seeing you try, it changed something. Didn't erase the anger, didn't fix the past, but it opened a door, a small door, a possibility. Bill's eyes are closed now, listening to the memory, reliving the moment, the most important moment of his life, maybe. David proposed, I'm in Austin next week for work, software conference, Wednesday through Friday. Maybe, if you're willing, we could meet, could have coffee, could try, see what happens. No promises, no expectations. Try. And I agreed, yes, I'd like that. Wednesday works. Name the place. I'll be there. Thank you. I love you. And David responded, I'm not ready to say that back yet, but maybe, eventually, if we do this right, if we actually try, maybe I'll get there. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe there's still time. And I replied, that's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. We hung up, and I sat in my truck in my driveway shaking. Not from Parkinson's, or not only from Parkinson's, but from emotion, from fear, from hope, from all the things I locked away for 62 years suddenly unlocked, suddenly free, suddenly overwhelming. Bill opens his eyes, looks at the camera, through the camera, at everyone watching, at everyone who's ever worn armor, at everyone who's ever hidden, at everyone who's ever been alone. That was last week. Wednesday. Last Wednesday, I met my son for coffee for the first time in 4 years. For the first time, really, because every other time I was wearing armor, was hiding, was being captain instead of dad, was being safe instead of present. Last Wednesday, I took off the armor. Bill stands, walks to the workbench one last time, picks up all 3 tanker jackets, his father's, his own, and a new one unworn. David's name stitched on the chest. These represent 3 generations, 3 Maddox men, 3 tankers, 3 people who wore armor, who served, who sacrificed, who struggled. My father wore his armor until it killed him. 54 years old, heart attack in the garage, alone, with a letter in his pocket that I didn't read for 46 years. I wore my armor until it almost killed me. 62 years old, Parkinson's disease, alone, with regrets that could fill a lifetime. But David, my son, he gets to choose, gets to see what armor does, gets to learn from our mistakes, gets to be different, gets to be better, gets to be free. This jacket, I had it made, had his name put on it, not as a requirement, not as an expectation, but as a gift, as a symbol, as a connection to history, to family, to men who served and survived and struggled and learned. Bill pauses, sets the jackets down carefully. When I met David last Wednesday at a coffee shop downtown, I brought this jacket, brought all 3, laid them out on the table like I'm doing now. And I told him the story, told him about his grandfather, about me, about the armor, about the cost, about everything. And David listened, really listened, the way I should have listened to him his whole life. When I finished, he picked up his grandfather's jacket, the World War II one, held it, felt the leather, looked at the name tag. He asked, did he ever talk about the war, about Korea? I shook my head. Never. He kept it locked away, behind armor, same as me. David set it down, picked up mine, the Gulf War coveralls, the burn mark on the shoulder visible. He questioned, is this from when you saved that soldier, Tyler? I confirmed yes, that's from Fallujah. He traced the burn mark with his finger. So this is what almost killed you. This is what you chose over us, over me. And I didn't have an answer, because he was right. I did choose it, chose the mission, chose the armor, chose everything except him. But then he picked up the 3rd jacket, his, the one I'd made, looked at his name stitched on the chest. He stated, I'm not joining the army, Dad. You know that, right? I nodded, I know. That's not why I made it. I made it so you'd have it, so you'd remember, so you'd understand where you came from. Even if you choose a different path. He held it, examined it, then did something I didn't expect. He put it on. Bill's voice breaks completely now, tears flowing freely. He put it on, and it fit. And he looked at me, and he smiled. Sad smile, complicated smile, but a smile. And he declared, thanks, Dad, I'll keep this. Not as armor, but as history, as connection, as proof that we can change, that patterns can break, that we can be different than our fathers. And then he asked, so what happens now? And I admitted, I don't know. I've never done this before. Never tried to be a father without armor. Never tried to just be present, to listen, to connect. He suggested maybe we start with coffee once a week. Maybe we talk. Maybe we see if this works. And I agreed, yes. Coffee. Every week. I'll be here. I'll show up. I promise. And David leaned back, studied me, then stated, you know what, Dad? I think maybe there's a person under all that armor. I think maybe I'd like to meet him. Finally, Bill wipes his eyes, looks at the camera. We've had coffee 3 times now. 3 Wednesdays. Each time a little easier. Each time a little more real. Each time a little less armor between us. Last week he brought his wife, Jennifer. I'd met her once, at their wedding, the wedding I almost missed. The wedding where I gave a 5-minute speech and left early. This time I stayed. We talked for 2 hours. She told me about her work, her life, her family. And I listened, really listened, asked questions, showed interest, was present. And at the end, she whispered to David, where was this version of your dad your whole life? And David replied, I think he was always there, just buried, under armor. Bill picks up his phone one more time. This morning, David sent me a text. First text in 4 years. It read, Dad, Jen and I want you to come to dinner. Sunday. We'll cook. Bring Leonard if he's still in town. We want to meet the crew. Want to hear the stories, the real ones. Not the censored versions. Want to know you. All of you. See you Sunday. Love, David. Bill looks at that last word, love. He wrote love. He's not ready to say it, but he wrote it. And that's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. Bill sets the phone down, faces the camera directly. This is the last video, the last recording, because I don't need to do this anymore. Don't need to confess to a camera. Don't need to explain to strangers. Because I have people now. People who see me. People who know me. People who are willing to try. Willing to connect. Willing to love me despite everything. Tyler flies in next month, bringing his family. Wants his kids to meet me. Wants them to know the man who saved their father, who gave them their father. Leonard drives up every few weeks. We work on the motorcycle together. My hands shake too much to do the fine work now, but I can help, can advise, can be present, can be crew. Maria and I talk weekly. She's helping me donate my equipment, helping me organize my stories, helping me process 40 years of armor, 40 years of hiding, 40 years of pain. And James sends me his poems. I read them all, try to understand them, try to see what he saw, what he felt, what he kept locked away. And sometimes I write back, not poetry, but truth. And he tells me that's its own kind of poetry. And David, my son, we have coffee every Wednesday. We're building something, slowly, carefully, like diffusing a bomb, like crossing a minefield. But we're building it, we're trying, and that's all that matters. Bill stands for the last time, looks at all the equipment, all the armor, all the protection that both saved him and destroyed him. If you're watching this, if you've made it this far, if you've listened to an old tank commander confess his failures for 6 hours, then I have one thing to ask you. Take off your armor, whatever it is, however you wear it, whatever you're hiding from, whatever you're protecting yourself from. Take it off before it's too late. Before you wake up 62 years old and alone and dying and realize you wasted your whole life being safe instead of being alive. Take it off. Be vulnerable. Be seen. Be human. Risk rejection. Risk pain. Risk failure. Risk everything. Because the alternative is dying with regrets. Dying alone. Dying having never really lived. And that's worse than any danger you'll face. Worse than any combat. Worse than any fear. Loneliness is worse. Isolation is worse. Dying behind armor is worse. So take it off. Call the person you haven't called. Say the words you haven't said. Ask for the forgiveness you think you don't deserve. Offer the grace you've been withholding. Connect. Be present. Be real. Be you. Do it now. Do it today. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't wait until you have Parkinson's. Don't wait until you're 62 and running out of time. Do it now while you still can, while there's still time, while life is still happening. Bill reaches for the camera one final time, hand shaking but steady enough, finger on the button. I did it, at 62, with shaking hands, With failing body, with decades of mistakes, I did it. And if I can, you can, anyone can. Take off your armor and live. The red light blinks, once, twice, then goes dark. But this time, when the screen goes black, it's not an ending. It's a beginning. Fade out, fade in, epilogue, 6 months later. The garage is different now. Cleaner, more organized. The equipment is mostly gone, donated, archived, remembered but not worshipped. Bill sits at the workbench, hands shaking as always, but doing something new. He's holding a photograph, recent, from last Sunday. The photo shows a dinner table, 9 people, smiling, laughing, connected. Bill, David, Jennifer, Leonard, Tyler and his wife and 2 kids, Maria, James. A family, not born of blood, but built of armor removed, of vulnerability chosen, of connection earned. Bill sets the photo in a frame, places it on the workbench, next to his father's letter, next to the 3 tanker jackets. He looks at the camera one last time, smiles, a real smile. Then he turns it off himself. The red light goes dark, and somewhere in Austin, Texas, in a garage that now smells like hope instead of regret, Captain William Maddox stands up, walks to the door, opens it, and steps into the light. The end.